All right, everybody, this is the third video I'm making tonight. And I have faith in you all that we are going to be able to figure out this scary looking sinusoidal graph. So video number 1 was all about picking out what A, B, C, and D are. Video number 2, I played around on Desmos and figured out that A was your amplitude that had to do with your maximum minimum. B was the part that either made your graph shorten the period, made it squishy, or lengthen the period, made it long. C was a horizontal translation. So it shifted the graph one way or another. It changed my start and end, but it didn't make it squishy. And then, so that's horizontal translation. And then the D value was vertical translation. So that's making the graph go like that or like that. It's graph number 3, or video number 3 for tonight. So I thought it was time we put all of this into practice. And I have faith in my abilities, in your abilities, and I ask for your patience. Patience with yourself, mostly, as we figure this out together. So we're just going to jump right into the deep end. And we are going to graph y is equal to 3 sine, let's go 2x plus 90 minus 4. And I'm hoping it's going to work out because honestly, I just randomly made those numbers up. So I think it's going to be okay. Okay, let's do, hold on. Let me paper. I think what I want to do. Sorry. Rattle. Here we go. Right. We're going to have a separate piece of paper that I'm going to write the steps out on, and thus save me having to retype this. Maybe I'll just scan it and send it out to y'all. Okay, so graphing steps. And this is for these handy dandy sinusoidal graphs. So whether it says sine in there or cos graph or cos, we're good. So step number 1 is find the values of A, B, C, and D. And I made our first one here pretty straightforward because they're all there. Remember, that's there. Our generic one looks like that. And if you have any trouble at all, I would strongly suggest you just rewrite the generic one right on top, underneath, whatever works, of your question. And we can see really good that A is 3, B is 2, and C is 90, and D is 4. I made a mess there. That bugs me already. So I'm going to rewrite it. So A is equal to 3. B is equal to 2. C is equal to 90. And D is equal to minus 4. So as I've said earlier, then take whatever sign is with them. So this, you could put, you know what, let's just put a plus 90 in there and then just say, take the sign with it every single time. And if there was a negative out here, we'd bring that. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, not really sure how to explain this. I just want you to think about what the changes, what the values A, B, C, and D do. So we know that A is amplitude. So if we look here, we know this graph from our middle is going to go 3 up and 3 down. B, you know what, I'm going to have to Google what it stands for, but I'm just going to write compress or expand. Remember, it either takes your graph and makes it longer or shorter. And I know if B is 2, it's actually going to be a little bit squishy. So it's going to end before 360. You don't have to, well, you can remember that, but you just need to know it's going to be shorter than you expect. So if B is bigger than 1, it's shorter. If B is less than 1, it's longer. This plus 90, C, is going to be, how about this? Make it easy. Doesn't start at 0. I don't, off the top of my head, actually know if this is going to start, where it's going to start, but I know it's not starting at 0. So that's going to help me. Hey, you know what? Forget this one. Let's just go. It's not going to end at 360 anymore. Okay. And the D is your midline. And that's where we start. All right. This may be not the version you get in class. I don't know. All right. So as I said, here we go. It's going to be taller than I expect. It's going to be squishy. It's going to end before 360. It's not starting at 0 anymore. And my middle is going to be at -4. And that is my starting point. So when we go to graph it, we're going to label the axis, oh, this time it's only going to be our vertical axis. And we need to worry about midline. Include, consider, whatever you want to say. Don't worry about your horizontal axis at this point. All right. I have been using this to do the graph. You can do this on loose leaf, but I honestly think it's easier for you and I to follow if I do it on this graph paper. I do. You know what? We're just going to give it a shot if I end up redrawing it, because I don't know what that's going to do for us. We should be fine. So I'm going to shift this up a little bit, because I know this is at -4, and that's going to be my middle of the graph. So I'm thinking my graph's going to be down here. So I'm just going to guess. I could be being nervous for absolutely no reason. But I'm just going to guess, and I'm going to make this point 0, 0. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, -1, -2. I don't know how far down I'm going to have to go, but I can start there. Okay. So that's what I mean by including my midline. So my midline is at -4. I want to at least go down to -4. All right. So step 4, draw in the midline. I feel the need to apologize. In class, I've been using this orange marker, which I forgot. Oh, No, I did. I forgot it at work. So it's going to have to be blue today. These are the things I worry about. Here's my midline. And that's coming from here. I write midline underneath. And put a 1 underneath. And I'm just going to draw a dotted line. And then I'm going to just take my highlighter. And I'm going to highlight that. Whoop, I said I was going to use the blue one. Doesn't matter. For those of you that are concerned, you need to mark off the midline somehow. Okay, you can just highlight it. You can just draw the dotted line. You don't have to do both. But today I felt like doing both. And I'm also going to label it over here so I don't get confused. Okay, so we got our midline. Now we're going to draw in our maximum and minimum. So what you do is you start at the midline. And count. Okay, I'm going to say amplitude. Whatever your amplitude number is, or A, up and down. So if we look at our question, here's our amplitude. We're going to count up and down, oopsies, from the midline. And that's why I highlight this, because my brain wants to use where the 0 is. So from the midline that I counted, that I marked, I'm going to go up 3. So 1, 2, 3. This line is going to be how tall my graph is. This is going to be where my maximum is. Notice, unlike in class, the ones we were doing previously, it was like 4 boxes and we're done. No more, because the B and C mess all that up. And now we are going to, oops, let's label that as max. And now we're going to count 3 down. So 1, 2, 3. And that's where I'm going to draw my line. My minimum. Okay, now, if you are confused, now might be not a bad time to rewind the video and make sure you can get this far. Okay. Oh, just to keep my graph nice, 5 minus 6 minus 7. So I know vertically, my graph has to go somewhere between these 2 lines. I don't know where it starts. We'll figure that out in a minute. Which brings us to step number 6. And this is what we were doing in class today. So the B and C stuff, the horizontal shift and what we've done to the period, I guess I should be saying it right. Basically, it's just changing the period. We do it all in one step. When I first started this, I had a bunch of different, do 3 or 4 more calculations, and nope, it's gotten better over the years. All right, so now we're going to do calculate the new start. and end. Okay. So whatever, maybe it's going to be easier to do this. Whatever's in my brackets equals 0. This is going to be my start. Hey, I'm excited. I think this might work tomorrow. And then whatever is in my brackets is equal to 360 is going to be the end. Because normally it's x, but we are messing with our graph, so it's going to change. Sorry, I realized I'm doing that. I'm just hiding behind the camera. So we're going to have a new start and a new end. Now, let's apply that to this specific equation, and it should make more sense to you. You're going to have to solve two little equations. Okay. So I had all this blank space up here. I'm going to try this. So whatever's in my brackets, 2x plus 90 is equal to 0. And we're going to solve that mini equation. Now, I really don't need those brackets there. So let's do it mathematically. 2x plus 90 is equal to 0. Because there's nothing out in front, they're gone. Or you could just start by writing this one. Now we need to solve this equation for x, because x is going to tell me where I start. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to subtract 90, and I'm going to subtract 90. So then I've got 2x is equal to minus 90. And then, yeah, you know it. I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. X is equal to minus 45. And I put degrees on there because I'm going to have to remember that. All right. It's okay, it's negative. By the way, don't panic, it's not screwed up. Now that I'm doing this, I think I remember last time I did this. This actually was, we did all the math first, and then we started graphing. That may be a plan for the next one. All right, so this is my start. So instead of starting like it normally would right here at 0, we're going to have to start somewhere to the left of that in negative length. But before we go any further, we're going to calculate out our end. And it's 2x plus 90 is equal to 360. I just dumped the brackety bit. All right. Yeah. So minus 90, the process is the same. So 2x, 360 minus 90 should be 270. Okay, divide by 2, divide by 2. X is equal to, oh, it's late in the evening. My brain is tired. And I seem to have absconded with my calculator. Should be 135. And that's degrees. Okay. So now it's going to be a little challenging. We need to figure out how we are going to divide this off. One of the things I suggest is look at these, pick the smallest one. It's usually your start number. And if we make a horizontal box worth that much, oops, you can't see me down there, it normally will work for us. I'll show you what I mean. So over here would be minus 45. So that's where we need to start. And I put it on where my midline is. I could go up here and label it, but I'm going to put it down here. So each box is 45. So there's one box to 0, 45. 45 plus 45 is 90. And 90 plus 45 is 135. And, oh, we're done. Because we needed to get up to 135. So what does that mean? That means that my graph is going to end soon. It ends at 135. So remember how before we would always draw the box? Well, there's the end of my box. Okay, if I go over to this side, my box is going to start at minus 45. Sorry, I use this as my first example. So there we go. I'm just going to extend that over. There. Now, lucky for us, our graph is divided. It's 4 boxes long, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're golden. You know what to do now, right? Because we know how it's going to move. One last thing. Yeah. Wait, you know you're not going to get a whole lot of these on your final. We have to remember this is a sine graph. So I'm just going to remind myself that a sine graph normally looks about like that. Roller coaster. So Mr. Roller Coaster starts in the middle, and then at our first quarter, it's going to go up to the top, and then it goes to the middle, and then it goes down, and then it goes back up. Whoops. You can't see that very well. Let's make this. So then 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let's see. Can I move it so we can see the graph? Yep. If it does everything, well, now you can't see it, that we dreamed it would be. All right, number 1 said the amplitude should be 3. So here's our middle, and we went up 1, 2, 3, and down 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's good. And we also know it's like symmetrical this way, distance-wise. We predicted from the B, from B, that it was gonna be squished. My period was gonna be shorter than normal. And it is, because normally this should say 360 on it. Okay, I know it's 4 boxes, that just kind of worked out. But it's from negative 45 to 135. That's less than 360. In fact, if you add that in there, I think you probably get 180 degrees. But anyway, it's less than 360. That's what we said. The 90, we said it was going to change where it started. So normally these graphs, our standard graph starts at 0. It started at minus 45. So our start and end were shifted. We are no, I can't figure that out, left and right. It was shifted this way. And the minus 4, that's where our midline is. So yeah, not 100% sure how long that video is, but I think I'm gonna, oh, nope, I'm not gonna stop there. Let the madness continue, folks. If I am lucky, aha, Desmos is still here. All right, let's see what we can do. Our amplitude, A is 3. Okay, we said B is 2. Check. We have C is plus 90. Okay, and D is minus 4. Oops. So we'll move that up. All right. Now here's minus 4 what's the word I want? Midline. Let me draw that in. I like the midline. And don't judge my ability to draw a straight line. All right. So we said our graph was supposed to start at minus 45. Okay. I will leave a comment on the video because my start, oh, yeah. Don't trust the C on this part. It's a long story. It actually goes backwards to what you expect. So don't stress. The stuff we drew is right. I actually need to not do that. I stop that. It's not gonna like that. There we go. Boop. Okay, so you actually have to give the opposite sign and then it's gonna match. Okay, so the reason behind that is in our equation, it actually said plus 90. So the Desmos needs to interpret that as that plus actually breaks up into two negatives. So you get the negative of the equation and the negative of the start. Sorry, I was trying to avoid that. I didn't realize it would show up on Desmos. But anyway, here we go. So away we go. And we are golden. So I guess the only thing I should say then is if you're checking with Desmos, use the opposite sign on C, whatever the opposite of what's in your equation, and it'll work out perfectly for you. All right, so tickety-boo. Let me just draw so I know we're all looking at the same thing. So my, whoops, not red. We're starting here. We're going a complete cycle and back to here. And if we split the difference between those two, that would be 135. Okie dokie. That was a long video. Thank you for sharing it with me. And we're going to stop recording now.